Hi guys, and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy. People dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy. You ever watch someone execute what they think is a flawless strategy, completely confident it'll work exactly as planned, while you've been observing their entire setup for weeks? That's precisely what went down when my wife took advice from her divorce attorney best friend about breaking down my provider mentality to gain complete control over our 32-year marriage. The irony is rich when you consider her friend literally earns a living from destroying marriages like mine. And she was about to add one more to her professional statistics. It was a Thursday evening in late October when I walked into our Mesa home after pulling a double shift at the Norfolk Naval Shipyard, my back aching from 8 hours of precision welding on submarine hull sections. At 58 years old, with just 6 months left until my full pension of $3,200 a month kicks in, I'd been looking forward to nothing more than a hot meal and maybe catching the evening news with Linda. We'd built what I thought was a solid life together in our 3-bedroom ranch house on Saguaro Street, raised 2 kids who were now adults with families of their own, and I'd been the steady provider for over 3 decades. My son Danny was a shift supervisor at the copper mine outside Phoenix, married with twin boys who called me Grandpa Wayne. My daughter Sarah worked as a dental hygienist in Tempe, had a little girl named Emma who was the light of my life. Both kids lived within an hour's drive, and we'd managed to keep the family close-knit through all the ups and downs of raising them in a working-class household. I set my lunch cooler on the kitchen counter next to the stack of real estate brochures I'd been collecting from Sun City West, washed the metal shavings off my hands at the sink with the industrial soap I kept by the faucet, and asked the question I'd been asking for 32 years. "Hey, hun, what's for dinner tonight?" Linda looked up from her laptop at the kitchen table where she'd been scrolling through Facebook for the past hour, her reading glasses perched on her nose as she studied something on the screen. At 55, she still had that auburn hair that had caught my eye back when we were dating, though now it came from a bottle and required monthly trips to the salon. Her response hit me like a cold slap across the face. "You're a grown man, Wayne. Feed yourself." The tone wasn't playful. It wasn't stressed or overwhelmed from a long day of managing our household finances or dealing with her part-time job at the local insurance office. It was cold, calculated, and deliberately dismissive. In 32 years of marriage, through job losses when the shipyard went through cutbacks in the 90s, family emergencies including my dad's heart attack and her mother's battle with cancer, raising teenagers who tested every boundary we set, and every other crisis life had thrown at us, Linda had never spoken to me with such casual contempt. Most guys would probably have gotten defensive immediately, started an argument about respect and partnership, maybe stormed off to grab fast food and stew about it for days while sleeping on the couch. But something about the practiced delivery, the way she didn't even look up from her screen when she said it, the deliberate timing after I'd just worked 16 hours straight, set off every alarm bell I'd developed during 3 decades in industrial work environments, where you learn to spot dangerous situations before they explode. See, her best friend Diane Patterson isn't exactly subtle when she's coaching people through what she calls relationship restructuring. 2 weeks prior, I was supposed to be at my Tuesday night bowling league at Desert Lanes when Diane came over for one of their regular wine and strategy sessions. The Thunderbirds were having an off night, and I'd forgotten my reading glasses that I needed to keep score properly, so I doubled back to grab them from my workshop in the garage. The kitchen window was cracked open for the evening breeze that makes October nights in Arizona so perfect. And as I walked past toward the garage, I heard Diane's voice carrying clearly from inside through the screen. That confident attorney tone she uses when she thinks she's being brilliant. The same voice she employed when she'd represented Linda's sister Jenny in her messy divorce 3 years earlier. "You need to start breaking down his provider mentality," Diane had announced with absolute certainty, her words floating out into the desert air like poison. "Men like Wayne build their entire identity around being the breadwinner. Make him feel unappreciated and unneeded, and he'll start desperately trying to prove his worth to you. That's when you'll have complete control over the relationship dynamic." Linda's voice had sounded uncertain, wavering in a way that told me she wasn't entirely comfortable with whatever plan they were hatching. But what if he just gets angry and we end up fighting all the time? You know how stubborn he can be when he thinks he's being attacked. He won't, Diane had laughed dismissively, the sound carrying that particular brand of arrogance that successful attorneys develop after years of winning cases through psychological manipulation of juries and opposing counsel. His generation was trained to be providers from childhood. Threaten that core identity and watch him scramble to win back your approval. When he's begging for your validation, you can basically train him to be the husband you actually want instead of the one you settled for 32 years ago. I'd been holding my Samsung phone, checking the work schedule for the following week that the foreman had texted out, when those words stopped me cold in the desert darkness. I quietly opened the voice recording app and captured the entire conversation that followed. Every manipulative tactic, every psychological pressure point they were planning to exploit, every step of their strategy to break down a man who'd spent 32 years working his ass off to provide for his family. The key is timing, Diane continued, and I could hear the clink of wine glasses as they settled in for what was clearly a detailed coaching session. You need to hit his core identity when he's most vulnerable. When he comes home exhausted from work, asking for basic care and consideration, that's when you deny it. Make him feel like his contribution doesn't matter. But what if he just accepts it and finds other ways to take care of himself? Linda had asked, and I could hear genuine uncertainty in her voice. Wayne's pretty self-sufficient when he needs to be. Trust me, I've seen this pattern dozens of times in divorce proceedings. Men his age who've been married this long don't know how to function without female approval and domestic support. He'll panic and start offering you everything you've ever wanted just to get back to the status quo. After documenting their scheme with digital precision, I grabbed my reading glasses from the workbench where I'd left them next to my latest project, a custom metal garden gate I'd been welding for Sarah's backyard. I went to bowling anyway, rolled a respectable 167 average despite my mind being elsewhere, came home acting completely normal, and started seriously considering that early retirement package the union had been pushing for the past 6 months. The package was attractive enough to make any reasonable person think twice. Full pension at $3,200 a month instead of waiting until I turned 60, complete health benefits through the federal system, and a lump sum payment of $43,000 for accumulated sick leave I'd never used. Pete Rodriguez from the union had been after me for months to consider it, especially since they were looking to bring in younger welders with updated certification in the new titanium alloy techniques. Wayne, you've put in your time, Pete had said just the week before during our monthly shop steward meeting. Take the package, move somewhere the money goes further, and enjoy your golden years while you're still young enough to appreciate them. So when Linda delivered her cold feed yourself line that Thursday evening, I simply nodded slowly, opened the refrigerator with the same deliberate calm I used when handling volatile welding compounds, grabbed a Coors Light, and said something she clearly wasn't expecting. You know what, Linda? You're absolutely right. I am a grown man. She looked up from her laptop, and I could see the confidence flicker slightly behind her reading glasses. This wasn't the defensive reaction Diane's script had prepared her for, and the momentary confusion in her eyes told me everything I needed to know about how much she'd been rehearsing this moment. I've been thinking about that early retirement package Pete keeps pushing, I continued, twisting off the beer cap with the bottle opener that hung on a magnetic strip next to the refrigerator. A Father's Day gift from Emma 3 years earlier. Full pension at $3,200 a month plus the federal health benefits that'll save us $400 a month in premiums. I could be done working by Christmas. The color started draining from her face like water from a broken pipe. What are you talking about, Wayne? I walked over to my workshop folder on the counter, the one where I kept all the important paperwork organized in manila folders labeled with my careful block printing. I pulled out the documents I'd been reviewing for weeks, studying the numbers and considering the possibilities during my lunch breaks at the shipyard. Early retirement incentive, I said, sliding the official letterhead documents across the kitchen table next to her laptop. They're offering full pension benefits 6 months early to clear positions for younger welders who can handle the new titanium work they're bringing in. I've got until next Friday to accept or decline. She stared at the papers like they were written in some foreign language she'd never encountered. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up the first page, scanning the numbers and legal terminology that outlined exactly how much our lives were about to change. You never mentioned seriously considering retirement, Wayne. This is the first I'm hearing about any of this. Been thinking about it seriously since our last conversation about household responsibilities. I took a measured sip of my beer, keeping my voice level and matter-of-fact. Figured if you want me to start taking care of myself, maybe it's time I really focus on just that. But what about the house payments, the car loans? Panic was creeping into her voice now, the same tone she'd used when Danny broke his arm playing Little League and we'd raced to the emergency room. We've still got 18 months left on the Toyota, and the mortgage doesn't get paid off for another 8 years. Pension covers the basics just fine, I said, pulling out the calculator worksheet I'd prepared during slow periods at work. $3,200 a month pension, plus $800 from Social Security when I hit 62, minus $1,200 for the house payment leaves us with $2,800 for everything else. That's more than we're living on now after taxes and health insurance. I spread the brochures across the table next to the retirement paperwork. Plus, I've been looking at that retirement community in Sun City West, where my buddy Rick Martinez moved last year after he retired from the railroad. Says it's paradise for people who want to enjoy their golden years without worrying about taking care of anyone else. The laptop slammed shut with a sound like a gunshot in the quiet kitchen. Wayne, you can't just decide to retire and move to Arizona without discussing it with your wife. Why not? I looked at her directly, noting the way her hands had started shaking and how her voice had gone up half an octave. You just told me I'm a grown man who should feed himself. Sounds like you're encouraging independence and self-reliance. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again like a fish gasping for air. The script Diane had provided was definitely not covering this scenario, and Linda's growing panic told me she was realizing her manipulation attempt was backfiring spectacularly. That's not what I meant when I said that. Really? Because it sounded pretty clear to me. I gathered up one of the Sun City West brochures, the glossy one showing couples playing golf and swimming in crystal-clear pools under endless Arizona sunshine. After 32 years of getting up at 5 in the morning, working doubles when we needed extra money for Danny's college or Sarah's wedding, and asking what's for dinner when I got home, you told me to feed myself. I'm just following your advice on a larger scale. The next morning, I called Pete Rodriguez and scheduled a meeting at the Union Hall to discuss retirement details. Linda spent the day on her phone, and I didn't need to use my detective skills to figure out who was getting multiple frantic calls. That evening, right on schedule like a precision-timed welding operation, the doorbell rang. Diane Patterson walked into our living room like she owned the place, radiating that supreme confidence she's known for in Virginia Beach legal circles. At 48, she still dressed like she was trying to impress opposing counsel, wearing a designer suit that probably cost more than most people made in a month. Wayne, we need to talk about this extreme overreaction, she announced before she'd even settled into our recliner, the one I'd bought for Linda's birthday 3 years earlier. I looked up from the Arizona real estate listings I'd been browsing on my tablet, properties in communities with names like Desert Oasis and Sunset Ridge where you could buy a decent house for half what our Mesa place was worth. Overreaction to what exactly, Diane? Linda just wants to feel appreciated after 30 years of managing this household while you focused on work. She's been carrying the emotional labor of this marriage, and this nuclear response proves you're too selfish to handle adult relationships. I almost laughed out loud at the psychology textbook phrases she was throwing around. Let me stop you right there, counselor, before you continue with whatever speech you've prepared. I pulled out my Samsung phone and set it on the coffee table between us, the screen reflecting the overhead light like a mirror. I recorded your coaching session 2 weeks ago, the one where you told my wife to break down my provider mentality by making me feel unappreciated and unneeded. The one where you explained how to manipulate me into desperately seeking her approval so she could train me to be a different husband. Diane's confidence flickered like a candle in the wind, and for the first time since I'd known her, she looked genuinely uncertain. You were eavesdropping on a private conversation between friends. I was walking past my own kitchen window on my own property, I said calmly, my voice carrying the same steady tone I used when explaining safety procedures to new workers at the shipyard. Arizona's a one-party consent state, by the way. This recording is perfectly legal and admissible. Want to hear the part where you called me the husband she settled for? Linda had gone completely pale, sitting on the couch looking like she wanted to disappear into the cushions. She was finally seeing how her manipulation scheme looked from the outside, and the shame in her eyes told me she was beginning to understand the gravity of what she'd attempted. Here's what you didn't count on, counselor, I continued, my tone remaining matter-of-fact but carrying an edge that came from decades of dealing with workplace politics and union negotiations. I don't respond well to manipulation. I don't play games with people who think 32 years of marriage is something you can fix with psychological tricks designed for divorce court. I stood up and headed toward the kitchen, my movements deliberate and unhurried in the way that comes from decades of working with dangerous equipment where every motion has to be calculated. Linda, you have until next Friday to decide what you want to do. I'm accepting early retirement and moving to Arizona. You can come with me and actually be a supportive partner, or you can stay here and enjoy the independence your friend has been coaching you toward. Those aren't real choices, Linda said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Sure they are, but here's the thing you need to understand. I looked directly at both women, my gaze steady and uncompromising. I'm done with games. I'm done with tests. I'm done with following advice from people who profit when marriages fail. I looked directly at Diane, noting how she'd shrunk back in the recliner like she was trying to make herself smaller. Speaking of which, you might want to be careful about coaching married women on manipulation tactics. The Virginia Bar Association takes a dim view of attorneys who interfere in marriages for personal gain, especially when there's recorded evidence of psychological manipulation coaching. Diane left without another word, practically fleeing through our front door like the house was on fire. Linda stared at me like she was seeing a complete stranger, someone she'd never met before in her 32 years of marriage. You actually recorded us talking, Wayne? I recorded someone in my own home discussing how to psychologically manipulate me after 32 years of faithful marriage. I finished my beer and set the empty bottle on the counter next to my retirement paperwork. Turns out that's not just legal, it's probably the smartest thing I did that month. The following week brought what I can only describe as the 5 stages of manipulation grief playing out in real time. First came denial. Linda spent Monday and Tuesday acting like nothing fundamental had changed between us, making my usual dinners of pot roast and meatloaf, trying to initiate normal conversations about weekend plans and whether we should have Sarah and her family over for Sunday dinner. When I reminded her Wednesday night that I'd submitted my retirement paperwork and scheduled a house hunting trip to Arizona for the following week, reality started hitting hard. Thursday brought the anger stage with all the fury of a desert thunderstorm. You can't just blow up our entire life over one conversation, she yelled while I was in the bedroom sorting through 30 years of accumulated belongings, separating work clothes I'd never need again from the casual clothes that would serve me well in retirement. I'm not blowing up anything, I replied calmly, folding the Carhartt work shirts that had served me faithfully through decades of shipyard labor. I'm accepting early retirement after 32 years of faithful service and moving somewhere I can enjoy my golden years. You're the one who said I should feed myself and act like a grown man. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Then you should have said what you actually meant instead of following a script from someone who makes her living off destroyed marriages. By Friday afternoon, Linda's family had assembled for what was clearly a planned intervention. Her father, Roy Patterson, a 73-year-old retired Navy contractor who still carried himself like the chief petty officer he'd been for 25 years. Her mother, Betty, 69 and sharp as a tack despite her arthritis. Her sister, Jenny, who worked as a nurse practitioner and had gone through her own messy divorce 3 years earlier with Diane's representation. The tension in our living room was thick enough to cut with a plasma torch when I walked in with my leather folder containing the retirement paperwork, my Samsung phone, and a typed transcript I'd prepared of Diane's coaching session, complete with timestamps and direct quotes. So, Wayne, Roy began, with that authoritative tone he'd perfected during his military service, we understand you're making some major life decisions without proper consultation with your family. Actually, Roy, I'm glad everyone's here together. It'll save me from having to repeat this conversation multiple times. I set my folder on the coffee table and looked around the room at faces that had been part of my extended family for over 3 decades. These were people who'd celebrated holidays with us, supported us through tough times, and shared in our joys when the kids graduated and got married. There seems to be some confusion about why I'm retiring early and relocating to Arizona. Let me clear that up for everyone. I pulled out the typed transcript and set it next to my phone, the documentation that would change everything between us. 2 weeks ago, Linda's friend Diane Patterson came over to coach her on what Diane called relationship restructuring. For context, Diane's a divorce attorney who specializes in asset division, and has made quite a lucrative career destroying marriages. The room went completely silent except for the sound of the air conditioning cycling on and the distant hum of traffic on Saguaro Street. The plan was to break down what Diane termed my provider mentality by making me feel unappreciated and unneeded. The goal was to manipulate me into desperately seeking Linda's approval, at which point she'd have complete control of our marriage dynamic and could train me to be a different kind of husband. I hit play on my phone. Diane's voice filled the room, crystal clear and unmistakable, her words carrying the same damning power they'd had that night in the desert darkness. Men like Wayne build their entire identity around being the breadwinner. Make him feel unappreciated and unneeded, and he'll start desperately trying to prove his worth to you. That's when you'll have complete control over the relationship dynamic. I let it play for about 90 seconds, enough to establish the manipulation coaching clearly, with Diane's voice explaining the psychological tactics and Linda's uncertain responses, then stopped the recording. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by Betty's sharp intake of breath. Roy looked between me and his daughter with the same expression he'd worn when he'd caught her sneaking out as a teenager. "Is this true, Linda?" Linda was crying now, but not the sympathetic tears she'd been using all week to garner family support. These were tears of absolute humiliation in front of the people whose respect she'd counted on her entire life. Diane said it would make him appreciate me more, she managed through her sobs. She said marriages need power balance adjustments sometimes. "So instead of talking to your husband like an adult," Jenny said, looking at her sister like she'd never seen her before, "you decided to play psychological games with a man who's worked double shifts for 30 years to support this family and put both your kids through college." Betty picked up the transcript and started reading, her expression changing completely as she absorbed the calculated nature of the manipulation attempt. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached the part where Diane referred to me as the husband she settled for. "The real question," I said, "is what kind of person gets coached on manipulating their spouse of 32 years, then follows through with the plan when they think it'll work?" Roy was staring at Linda in disbelief, his military bearing unable to hide the disappointment in his eyes. "You actually did this? You plan to manipulate Wayne after everything he's done for this family?" "I was just trying to get him to help around the house more," Linda whispered, her voice barely audible. "By treating the man who raised your children and paid your bills like a burden instead of a partner?" Betty shook her head slowly. "That's not how marriage works, honey. That's not how you treat someone who loves you." I collected my documents, noting how the family dynamics in the room had shifted completely from the intervention they'd planned to something resembling a trial where Linda found herself as the defendant. "I've got early retirement approved effective December 1st. The house goes on the market Monday. I fly to Arizona Thursday to finalize a place in Sun City West, a nice community where Rick Martinez bought a 3-bedroom house with a pool for $180,000. "What about counseling?" Betty asked, her voice carrying the desperate hope of a mother trying to save her daughter's marriage. "What about working through this like mature adults?" "Work through what exactly, Betty? The fact that she tried to manipulate me, or the fact that she got caught doing it?" I looked around the room at the family that had been ready to shame me for abandoning my responsibilities. They were now looking at Linda like she was a stranger who'd somehow replaced the woman they thought they knew. Some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. Some betrayals cut too deep to heal. As I walked toward the front door, I could hear the family discussion erupting behind me. Not angry voices directed at me anymore, but confused, disappointed voices trying to understand how Linda had become someone capable of such calculated deception. 6 months later, I got a call from Jenny while I was sitting on my patio in Sun City West, watching the sunset paint the mountains purple and gold. Carol Henderson, my neighbor from Ohio who'd moved out here the same month I did after her husband passed, was working in her flower garden next door, and we'd been planning to drive into Phoenix for dinner at that steakhouse overlooking the city lights. "Thought you should know how things turned out back home," Jenny said, her voice carrying across the miles with news I'd been expecting. "I'm listening." Linda had to get a job at the Fry's grocery store, working checkout for $12 an hour. Lost the house to foreclosure when she couldn't make the payments. She's renting a studio apartment now, learning what independence really costs. "I'm sorry to hear she's struggling," I said genuinely, meaning every word. "I hope she figures out how to build a better life for herself." Diane's been having her own problems since word got out about her coaching married women on manipulation tactics. Several clients dropped her when they heard the recording. She's talking about moving her practice to Phoenix to start over. That evening, Carol and I drove into the city as planned, and over dinner, she asked me something I'd been thinking about for months. Do you ever regret how it ended with Linda? I regret that it had to end, I said honestly, cutting into a perfectly grilled steak that I'd paid for with money from a pension I'd earned through 32 years of honest work. But I don't regret refusing to accept manipulation as normal behavior in a marriage. Some people change when they realize they've lost something important. Others just get better at hiding who they really are. As we drove back under the Arizona stars, I realized I hadn't thought about Linda's dismissive dinner comment in weeks, not because I was avoiding the memory, but because I was genuinely focused on building something new and authentic with someone who valued honest communication over psychological games. The greatest victory isn't proving you're right. It's having the wisdom to walk away from people who mistake your patience for weakness, and the courage to build something better with those who don't.